inexcusable negligence in allowing these syndicates to proliferate while inside the supposed maximum security compound. The commitment to the NBP of persons convicted by final judgment is supposed to be the final act to the victims of criminality in this country. These convicted persons are supposed to serve their sentence as punishment imposed on them by the judiciary and be reformed. This is supposed to be the closure for the victims and their families. Unfortunately, the fact that these convicted felons are still able to continue with their illegal activities while incarcerated makes a complete mockery of our criminal justice system. It renders the justice sought by the victims and their families as mere illusions. For how can justice be truly served when the perpetrators themselves are still able to commit crimes with impunity while inside the national penitentiary? This question must be answered in this inquiry, and we must be able to get to the bottom of this issue in order to make sure we put finish to this travesty of justice. So now we would like to request first the Vice Chairman of the Subcommittee on Correctional Reforms to give his opening remarks because this is a matter really that is covered by his subcommittee. Before we proceed to the sponsors of this bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. In July this year, just as we formally ushered in a new regime that was elected on a promise to rid our beloved nation of illegal drugs and crime, the House of Representatives, through the evil leadership of Speaker Alvarez and other members, filed a resolution calling for an investigation in aid of legislation on the proliferation of drug syndicates at the National Bilibid prison. Over the past years, the Filipino people's eyes have been opened to a hard and shameful truth. While rumors abounded that the National Bilibid prison was a hub where illegal drug trade proliferated, our eyes were fully open when a raid was conducted on December 2014 by then Secretary of Justice, now Senator Laila de Lima. The said raid, which was highly publicized, yielded shabu and other drug paraphernalias, inflatable sex dolls, a stripper bar, and jacuzzi spread across 19 air-conditioned cubicles built for convicted drug dealers. Law enforcement authorities also found in subsequent raids other prohibited items such as firearms and bladed weapons, mobile phones, flat-screen TVs, laptops, Wi-Fi, luxury watches, a sauna, and over 2 million in cash from body searches of several high-profile inmates. In the villa of Peter Co, which was linked by secret pathways to areas around the Bilibid, authorities have also seized documents containing a list of names with corresponding cash amounts and dates involving drug transactions. Meanwhile, in another kubol occupied by robbery gang leader Herbert Colangco, police found a music studio where he was reportedly able to produce a music video that went viral on YouTube. According to news reports, more than 30 raids have been conducted between 2014 to 2016. Yet, despite these raids, the current realities show that the illegal drugs trade discovered in the National Bilibid prison not only continues, but actually thrives. Are we to deduce that the illegal drug trade, we should stress, within government property has proliferated because it has actually been allowed to by people in power? Or are we to surmise that because of overcrowded cells, the task of discovering and addressing has become a sheer impossibility for our prison stewards? We must find out whether those tasked with supervising our prisons have turned a blind eye on this phenomenon. Is there truly a shabu factory inside, or was shabu allowed to be transported inside prison grounds? Of those raids, were those conducted merely for show, to gain popularity in aid of election, or perhaps to gain leverage for drug lords operating within the NBP? And why is it that cellular phones, supposedly prohibited, and which is the means by which the illegal drug trade is facilitated, continue to be confiscated from the inmates? Again, we come down to the crux of this issue. Why were we unable to stop such flagrant defiance of our laws inside a government institution and manned by employees of the government nonetheless? Instead, the situation has become so dire that our Special Action Force troopers, the creme de la creme of our law enforcement units, have been tasked with guarding the NBP. It is in this regard that we have invited today the executive branch, particularly the Secretary of Justice, Honorable Vitaliano Aguirre, under whose jurisdiction the Bureau of Corrections and NBP fall under, along with the heads of other agencies involved in combating illegal drugs, such as the PDEA, one of his representatives of Director General Lapina, who is on official travel, the able, energetic Director of NCR, Director Wilkins Villanueva, who had accomplished in padlocking so many shabu laboratories recently, and the Philippine National Police, whose PNP chief is represented here by General Magalong, in order to enlighten us on the Duterte's administration efforts to address the issue of proliferation of illegal drugs at the NBP. As the subcommittee's chair in charge of the correctional reforms, I believe this investigation could help us craft legislation that will reform our prison system and ensure that corruption and illegal drug trade are truly weeded out. The House of Representatives, under the leadership of Speaker Alvarez, through this committee, is intent on finding out the truth. Rest assured that we will direct this investigation so that we may be more guided in our legislative actions. We will be taking into account the possible structural, organizational, and cultural weaknesses that allow the occurrence of illegal activities in our correctional institutions. Of particular interest will be whether the time is right to finally proceed with plans to build a new prison facility in Fort Magsaysay in Nueva Ecija. According to the International Center for Prison Studies, ICPS, in 2015, our prison system is the fourth most overcrowded in the world. This committee, during the 16th Congress, upon the initiative of then Senior Vice Chair and now Majority Floor Leader Rodolfo Fariñas, had in fact proposed this mission, and the Department of Justice actually held a bidding for a public-private partnership to undertake this project. We must now ask also the Department of Justice through Secretary Aguirre as to the status of this project. The clamor from our people to thoroughly address the drugs issue has been deafening. As representatives of the people, we are duty-bound to do our part in supporting President Duterte and the government efforts to address this crisis. We now have a man at the helm who has staked his life, honor, and the presidency in order to accomplish the mandate given to him by the people. It is only proper that this august body, through the leadership of our dynamic Speaker Alvarez and the rest of the members of the lower house, lend its hand in furthering the goal of eliminating the trade of illegal drugs and upholding the people's welfare. We are conducting this investigation in our desire to correct this deplorable aberration of our government institutions, being at the mercy of individuals and groups who defy the law with impunity. We do this in our hope that those responsible for the mess we are in today are held accountable and put to justice. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hominal. So now we will recognize the author of House Resolution 105, the Honorable Minority Floor Leader, Danny Suarez.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the Committee on Justice, Secretary Aguirre, distinguished resource person, Your Honors. When I was minority leader during the 15th Congress, I already pointed out during our weekly minority press conferences the pandemic in the making, which is the proliferation of drugs and its allied ill effects to society. It is very unfortunate that the then powers that be took no notice. What is the result of the last 6 years under an administration which was blind to the obvious drug proliferation in our country? According to 2015 data from the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, PDEA, around 1/5 of barangay or villages in the Philippines have drug-related cases. 92% of the barangays in Metro Manila have drug-related cases. And what is painful about this data is that as early as 2012, the United Nations World Drug Report said the Philippines already has the highest rate of shabu use in East Asia. A 2012 study on drug trafficking by the Philippine Center for Transnational Crime echoes this sentiment when it stated that a total of 6,020 barangays in the country are drug-infested. Clearly, Mr. Chairman, we were not lacking in knowledge about the drug problem that early. Mr. Chairman, while a statistician can debate whether there is causality or not between the rise in drug use in the country and the rise in criminality, I think it can be safely concluded that there is indeed a direct correlation between the two. According to the Philippine Statistics Office, the total reported crimes for 2014 was 1,161,188, as compared to 2,017,812 in 2012. In the same time span, index crime rose from 129,161 in 2012 to 492,772 in 2014. In 2014, I was no longer surprised by the news that shocked the whole nation when a raid operation in the new Bilibid prison revealed that drug lords inside the maximum security compound live in a life of luxury. They have, as what mentioned by the Vice Chair, flat screen TVs, jacuzzis, refrigerators, cars, luxury watches, golf carts, electric bikes, musical instruments, and other prohibited contraband. These drug lords had the audacity to operate a nationwide drug syndicate while supposedly serving sentences for their crimes. Mr. Chairman, an operation this brazen could not have happened without the approval of several government high officials. When news broke out regarding the proliferation of drugs and the continued operation of the drug lords inside Bilibid, I was expecting that the House would conduct its inquiry in the matter. However, I'm not aware of any action on the part of the House to address this issue, which is why immediately after the start of the 17th Congress, I sought the help of the House leadership in order to determine the proper course of action. In light with the current administration drive against illegal drugs, which is undeniably, regardless of one's political affiliation, a real menace and a threat to the Filipino people, one of the persons I approached is the current Majority Leader, Rudy Pareñas, and he told me that he would ask for assistance from the current Secretary of Justice to conduct a preliminary investigation on the matter. Given this assurance, we filed House Resolution number 105 entitled Resolution Calling for an Investigation in Aid of Legislation on the Proliferation of Drug Syndicate at the National Bilibid Prison. Through this investigation, I am hopeful that we will be able to address the root of the drug problem inside the Bilibid prison, and we will determine who among the government officials responsible, if any, are involved in the proliferation and trade of illegal drugs. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that. The opening remarks of the minority floor leader is noted and well taken. This is precisely what we intend to do in this committee, to look deeper into this situation besetting the National Bilibid prison, which probably has been neglected for quite a while. At this juncture, may we now hear from one of the co-authors of this House Resolution number 105, representing the majority. We recognize Congressman Romy Acop, who is also chair of the Committee on Public Order and Security.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the Honorable Chairman of the Committee on Justice, to the honorable members of the committee, my esteemed colleagues, guests, and fellow workers in government, a pleasant good morning. Today, this representation as a primary author has been tasked to deliver a speech before this committee in sponsorship of House Resolution number 105, which seeks an investigation in aid of legislation on the proliferation of drug syndicates at the National Bilibid prison. This is not an easy task to do, knowing very well the sensitive nature of the subject matter of this investigation. Not only does it concern the problem of illegal drugs that threatens to destroy the very fabric of our society, but it also focuses on the state of affairs in the premier penitentiary in the country, the National Bilibid prison, as well as on the efforts of the government to rehabilitate and reform our brothers who run afoul with the law and now in incarceration. Frankly, I have concerns that this investigation may unintendedly step on the toes of certain personalities who may be pulling strings or holding money bags in the lucrative trade of illegal drugs in and outside the Bilibid. I am also worried that political sensitivities may be unavoidably touched upon and raise hell among the onion-skinned whose names might be dragged in the course of the investigation. But I am willing to take the chance, if only to stand for the principles that as a public servant believe in, that of pursuing integrity in the service of the people and ensuring a peaceful and drug-free society for our people to live in. I am deeply frustrated by the fact that in a supposedly tightly guarded prison facility, illegal activities like trafficking of illegal drugs, even of women, kidnapping and murders take place. Intelligence then and evidence now reveal that some high-profile inmates remain to be the central figures in the illegal drug trade, even while imprisoned. They allegedly, as what this investigation now aims to determine, collude with law enforcement officers, prison authorities, and government personnel who are reported to be in their payroll. Their network appears to be well entrenched and has become a business empire with headquarters at the National Bilibid prison. This investigation is about cleansing the principal penitentiary in the country of all the evils of drug trafficking inside the facility, which threaten the well-being not only of the inmates, but of all drug dependents who astonishingly derive their supply from the operations of drug syndicates conveniently nestled inside the National Bilibid prison. It is about calling to task the men and officers of the Bureau of Corrections for their failures in the administration of the facility that have aggravated the drug menace inside the prison and have put to doubt the efficiency and effectiveness of the government's inmate rehabilitation and reformation programs. It is time to call a spade and identify these erring custodial officials and officers who are in cahoots with the drug lords inside the prison facility who are making a kill in their profits from the illegal drug trade. It is payback time, it is time to put a new human face to the ill-reputed National Bilibid prison. I have strong faith in the able leadership of the chairman of this committee and its members that the investigation will be conducted in the spirit of utmost objectivity, fairness, and with due regard to the rule of law. At the end of the day, our common objectives remain the same: to ferret out the truth, to eliminate the drug menace in the country, and to restore the people's trust to our government. These goals we hope to attain by coming up with a proposed remedial legislation as a result of this investigation. May divine providence guide us in this endeavor. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Honorable Acop. Thank you, distinguished authors of House Resolution 105. I know that many of the members would like to say something before we even proceed, but the chair feels that to provide everyone a better perspective of this situation that we are now investigating, it would be much better if the Secretary of Justice, who has conducted an investigation into the matter, would be able to provide us a comprehensive report of what they have done so far, their findings, and what the recommendations will be for the consideration of this committee. But in the meanwhile, and pursuant to rules on legislative inquiries, we will have to request all of the resource persons who will give their testimonies before this committee to take their oath, and I hereby direct the COMSEC to please administer the oath of all those resource persons. May we request those who will enlighten this committee of on the matter to please rise and for the administration of their oath.
Please raise your right hand and follow me. I, please state your name. Swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you, COMSEC, and thank you, distinguished guest. So we now give the floor to the Honorable Secretary of Justice, Vit Aguirre.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. To all our deputy speakers present, to the chairperson of the Committee on Justice, Honorable Reynaldo Umali, to the chairperson of the Committee on Public Order, Honorable Romeo Acop, to the chairperson of the Committee on Dangerous Drugs, Honorable Robert Ace Barbers, Majority Floor Leader Rudy Pareñas, Minority Floor Leader Congressman Danny Suarez, Vice Chairman Henry Uaminal, distinguished members of the August committees comprising this joint investigation, distinguished members of the House of Representatives, PAO Chief Presida Acosta, the USEC of the Department of Justice, members of the media, both local and international, to all resource persons, a blessed and drug-free morning to all. Before anything else, I wish to reiterate that the Department of Justice fully supports President Rodrigo Duterte's war on drugs. We fully commit ourselves to the eradication of this menace to our children, our family, and our country. We wish to reassure the public and the honorable members of our distinguished committees that those who are responsible for the drug trade in this country, once apprehended, will find nothing but prosecution and punishment under our laws. One area of utmost concern for everyone is the proliferation and escalation of drug trade in the National Penitentiary. It is most unfortunate that convicted felons who are supposed to be punished and reformed have thrived as drug entrepreneurs and drug businessmen. Why this happened, how it happened, is the reason why we are here. We have to get to the bottom of this. We all want the truth. Drugs have caused deaths. It has destroyed families. It has shattered dreams. And it will continue to menace our people if we do not stop it. It has to stop. We have to stop it. The proliferation of the drug trade in Bilibid will not have happened if the persons in charge and those in authority did their jobs and properly discharged their sworn duties. Apparently, the drug trade in Bilibid had a consent and was condoned by these people. Ladies and gentlemen, we have prepared a list of 30 resource persons who will help us all to establish why, the how, the where, the when, and most importantly, the who and how much on the proliferation of these prohibited drugs in our prisons. The Filipino people deserves the truth. We are confident that the truth will come out. The purpose of today's hearing, I will present to the committee the video interview of J.B. Sebastian. The video showing the kubul of Peter Co. and other videos. Further, I will show the committee the ingenious ways our inmates in hiding their communication devices. Further, the resource persons will shed light on the participation of the highest official of the Department of Justice at that time in the proliferation of illegal drugs inside the new Bilibid prison. The nature and tenor of the testimonies of the resource persons are as follows. We will present Rafael Z. Ragos, who was once the OIC Bureau Director and who is still an employee and an officer of the NBI. He will testify that sometime in 2012, he found a black bag containing money on his bed at the Bucor Director's quarters. He received a call instructing him to deliver the black handbag containing limang manok, or in the Bilibid language, or 5 million to Mr. Ronnie Dayan. He, in June Ablen, delivered the money to Mr. Dayan and DOJ's Secretary de Lima at her house in South Bay Village, Parañaque. Mr. Ragos will also testify that on December 12, 2012, he found money on his bed at the Bucor Director's quarter. He then received a call to deliver the money to Mr. Dayan, just like the first time, and he delivered the money to the house of Secretary de Lima. This is another 5 million pesos. Herbert Colangco, he will testify, among others, that he was ordered by J.B. Sebastian to sell drugs. Also, Mr. Colangco will testify that Jonel Sanchez asked him to sell drugs for the plan of then DOJ Secretary de Lima. Mr. Colangco paid payola to DOJ Secretary and Director of Bucor amounting to 3 million pesos per month, and to the Director of Bucor 1.2 million pesos per month. Rodolfo Magleo, a former major of the PNP, will testify that J.B. Sebastian told him that several drug lords and non-conforming inmates will be removed from the maximum security compound so he could monopolize the drug trade inside the compound. He will testify that J.B. Sebastian paid millions to DOJ Secretary de Lima and Director Bucayo, and that J.B. Sebastian is one of the financiers of DOJ Secretary de Lima for the latter's senatorial campaign. He will also testify that J.B. Sebastian told him that he paid DOJ Secretary de Lima 10 million pesos for the transfer of Bilibid 19 and an additional 1 million pesos per month. We will present Noel Martinez. He will testify that sometime in January 2013. And the other leaders of gangs were introduced by DOJ Secretary de Lima, by J.B. Sebastian. He will also testify that sometime February 2013, J.B. Sebastian informed him that DOJ Secretary de Lima needed funds for her plan to run in the 2016 senatorial elections. J.B. Sebastian ordered the centralization of the drug sale in the Bilibid and required him and other gang leaders for help. In exchange, they will receive protection and special treatment. Ovencio Ablen Jr., who is still with the NBI, will testify that he and Mr. Ragos were longtime friends, and sometime in November and December, together with Mr. Ragos, they delivered the 10 million, 5 million each, the 10 million pesos to the house of Secretary de Lima. Jaime Pacho, he will testify that J.B. Sebastian approached him for help for the senatorial campaign of DOJ Secretary de Lima. He then referred a person to J.B. Sebastian who received drugs and paid for it through bank deposit. The other, we were instructed, we were told by the committee secretary that the others should not be brought here for order and security purposes, because I believe that with its 6 witnesses, we will have our hands full until the end of the hearing today. That is the opening statement, Your Honors, and may we request that we be allowed to present the video interview of J.B. Sebastian by the Discovery Channel, and this will show how powerful this person is and why his words are law in the new Bilibid prison. Let's watch, please.
Mr. Chairman,
Majority Floor.
some clarificatory questions. Are these witnesses willing to testify here today? Are they testifying here today?
Yes, Your Honor. They are here and they will testify.
Okay. Without asking for any immunity or what?
They were not asking for anything, for any favor, and we did not give them, or we did not promise them anything. But their lawyers approached this representation that if it's possible that their clients be offered immunity and they're testifying here before this hearing. I agree that it's very reasonable that they've stated before me that they want to cooperate with the drug war against illegal drugs of President Duterte, and that they believe that this anomalies, this illegal drug trade in the Bilibid should stop, and they wanted to cooperate. So at the very least, I believe that whatever they tell here, I believe that they should be given immunity. So what I did, Your Honors, is that we prepared papers for their immunity only for what they are going to testify before this hearing. In other words, whatever they will testify, we led them to believe that whatever they testify here, that could not be used against them. So I appeal to the honorable members of the committee that these witnesses be given immunity, and with the endorsement and recommendation of the chairman of the Committee on Justice and the approval of by the speaker, I believe that the same should first be issued.
Precisely,
by this
Mr.
committee.
Chairman, I asked that question because as the chairman of the Committee on Rules, we have the law, Republic Act 6981, which provides the mechanism as to how these people will avail of the Witness Protection Act or the benefits of that act. Now, if that is the case and their testimony will be based on the grant of such immunity, we have to dispose that matter first, because it has to be approved by the Speaker. We saw what happened in the Senate, where a hearing there, they presented a witness, and after the hearing, the chairman or the former chairman of that committee then asked the Senate President for acceptance into the or inclusion into the witness protection program of the government, but the Senate President denied the request. So I suggest, Mr. Chairman, that we do it properly. If there is such a formal manifestation that they need such immunity, then this body should now vote whether to recommend to the Speaker the grant of such immunity under Section 4 of the Republic Act 6981. And I'll read. It says there in Section 4 of the law, witness in legislative investigations. In case of legislative investigations in aid of legislation, a witness with his express consent may be admitted into the program upon the recommendation of the legislative committee where his testimony is needed, when in its judgment there is pressing necessity therefore, provided that such recommendation is approved by the President of the Senate or the Speaker of the House of the Representatives, as the case may be. So in this instance, we have to dispose of that matter first, because otherwise all of this alleged testimony may not come into play. So are you now formally asking the committee for the grant of such immunity,
Mr. Chairman, I fully agree with the Majority Floor Leader, and may we ask that the Majority Floor Leader move that these witnesses here, the inmates, be given immunity before this the hearing of this committee.
Chairman, since we were furnished last night, I was furnished by the Committee on Justice the copies of these affidavits, although they're still affidavits, and as we know, affidavits are hearsay until they are testified into by the person with cross-examination. So I think the extension or the grant of such immunity to them is necessary. So I move that the committee recommends to the Speaker that these witnesses will be afforded the protection under Section 4 of Republic Act 6981.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you,
before we vote,
Majority Floor.
maybe...
Just before the Vice Chair, Congressman Roque raised his hand first.
Yes,
Just
Mr.
want to
Chair.
recognize.
Just for the record, I would like to mention the names of individuals who should be given testimonial immunity. Jovencio Ablen, Rafael Ragos, Joel Capones, Jaime Pacho, Herbert Colangco. I think those are the 6 individuals testifying today.
You only mentioned 5.
Okay, Ragos,
Ablen,
Colangco, Magleo, Martinez, Ablen, and Pacho
Okay.
are 6 testifying
6,
today.
do you
Let's go.
confirm this, Secretary? These
Yes, Mr.
6
Chairman.
individuals. Okay, Vice Chairman Liachon.
Yes, just to follow through with the motion of our good Majority Floor Leader. Given the names of those applying for immunity, may we know also from the good Secretary the extent of the testimony? Are they all inmates? Because...
No, Your Honor, only 4 of them are inmates.
And the other...
and the 2, Ragos and Ablen, are still with the NBI.
Okay. Are they also testifying now, Mr. Secretary?
We are planning to present the 6. The others, because I believe that we will lack time, Your Honor. They were left at their detention cells.
With that particularity, Mr. Chair, I would like to join the motion of the good Majority Floor Leader.
There is a motion and a second, but before we dispose of this issue, Your Honor.
Yeah, Kong Teves. Clarificatory question lang. Does immunity equate to witness protection also? Because I think other than immunity, they will also need the witness protection program if they wish to avail.
That is...
That's why I'm clarifying if it's by them availing of the immunity, does it equate to also them having the avail of the witness WPP right away?
That is the prerogative of the Secretary of Justice. We have different immunities, and WPP is a program under the Department of Justice, and they have the mandate to likewise also admit any witness into the WPP. So my question is, in fact, I'd like to ask Secretary Aguirre, have they not been admitted into your program, or are you contemplating on admitting them into your program?
For the information of Your Honors, they have all, the 6 have all been admitted to the Witness Protection Program of the Department of Justice.
So I think that is a more stronger protection that can be afforded to them. In fact, I do not know if we still need a this legislative immunity that we will seek this committee and the speaker. So if they have all been admitted into the program, then I guess that would suffice, Mr. Secretary.
Actually, it is not exactly correct because before this is only a provisional admission. So that the admission will be complete, we need the recommendation of the chairman of this committee and the approval by the speaker.
So your witness, your immunity that you will grant is really subject to this particular provision of the WPP and not the regular witness protection granted under the mandate of DOJ. Anyway,
that's right, Mr. Chairman.
Congressman Salo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just a clarificatory question, Your Honor. Will there be no determination first on the participation or culpability of this particular persons requesting for immunity, in as much as if they appear to be the most guilty at the end of the day, everybody becomes immune, and whom are we going to prosecute or be held accountable later on?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Secretary,
hindi po kinakailangan yun sapagkat dito wala pa po tayong kaso. So wala pa tayong...
As the movement, may I explain to the gentleman, yung most guilty applies only to discharge of witness, of the accused. Wala pa naman ng case dito. This is Witness Protection Act. So, okay na yun.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm just clarifying, in as much as if we already grant them blanket immunity, then at the end of the day, the government has already stopped from any filing of a criminal case later on against them.
Now, this is only immunity from their testimonies in this legislative inquiry.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Congressman Garvin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the aforementioned witnesses, Mr. Chairman, I've heard they have already prepared a written statement before they testify into this committee. And under the rules, within 48 hours, they have to furnish the committee secretariat of this said affidavits or written statement, Mr. Chairman. May we know, Mr. Chairman, if members of this committee can be furnished of the affidavits in order to guide us accordingly before we grant this immunity?
Yes, in fact, we requested Secretary Aguirre to prepare sufficient copies for distribution to the members of the committee to save on time.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we prepared 100 copies, sufficient copies. So if there's anybody, any members of the committee na wala pang...
I think all the members, Mr. Chairman, should be furnished of that affidavit.
May I know from the COMSEC if
They are now distributing.
they had this, they are now distributing. So,
Mr. Chair, there is a pending motion duly seconded, so can we now proceed on the rolling of the chair so that we can go ahead with the presentation of the witnesses by the Department of Justice?
Second, Your Honor.
thank you for that.
Mr. Chairman, clarification, please.
Deputy Speaker.
As we understood from the explanation of the majority leader, the approval of the immunity by this committee, by the members of this committee, I mean, is only recommendatory. It is the signature of the Speaker that will be the operative act that will make the immunity recommended by this committee operative. Now, if we approve it now, being recommendatory, and we will allow the witnesses to testify now,